Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Abilene People, the podcast here on Big Country homepage and on your streaming device. I guess that's your TV on the KTAB Plus app, where we talk to Abilene's most interesting people. And I am telling you, lock down, cold stone, solid guarantee. One of the most interesting people in Abilene today is sitting right here. Abby Green, how are you?
I'm good, Danny Sims. Thank you for having me. I don't know about that, but
I think it's true. I think you are very interesting, and I think what we're about to do is take a walk down interesting lane with Abby Green. So, were you born and raised in Coppell, Texas, over in the Metroplex?
I was, Danny Sims. So yes, that is.
But you weren't born. You were like born in Dallas or something, right?
I was born in Coppell.
There's a hospital in Coppell where you can be born?
Okay, technically Irving, yes.
Okay.
But then I've lived in Coppell my whole life.
Yeah. Did you go to high school in Coppell?
I did. Coppell
Is it
High
true?
School.
Is it true? I've heard a rumor that you starred on the Coppell High School basketball team as an ace downtown shooter 3-point star. Is that true?
You know, I did like shooting threes, Danny Sims. That was definitely.
Stephen Curry says he took notes on your form because you really did take it very seriously.
I think it was the other way around, Danny Sims.
But you did take it seriously.
I did, absolutely. Yeah. That was my dad and I remember we would go to the gym like every single weekend and we would practice my form for basketball. And I don't know if you know anything about basketball, the form is all the same. So like shooting free throws and then the jump shot, you just add the jump and that's your shooting form. So I take a lot of that with me today into my news career, repetition.
Okay.
The more you do it, the better you get.
Yeah,
so, yes.
and the form's the same.
Yes, it is.
Whether you're by yourself at the 5 or having to sit by David Bacon at the 6 and 10. We'll get there. We're going to get to KRBC in the newscast. All right, but let's talk about your folks, okay?
Okay, absolutely. So my mom, Kim Green, and my dad, Gardner Green, and then my brother is Davis. He is 2 years younger than me. So growing up, we were very into sports. We were a big sports family. I played soccer and basketball, and Davis, he was very into baseball. That was his thing. And he did a lot of traveling, tournaments and stuff for that. So I loved going and supporting him.
Does he still play baseball a little bit, like a league with this where he works or anything like that, or nah?
He doesn't anymore, but he did a lot growing up, and he played in high school, and so I loved going to tournaments. That was always fun.
And that begs the question: do you play in any leagues? Is there a women's basketball league where we can come see Abby Green in starring and reigning in threes?
Well, I haven't done it recently, but I might still remember that form because again, like I said, the repetition.
Repetition.
Yes.
Okay, back to your folks.
Right. So, anyway, we would do a lot of sports and stuff. I played that a lot growing up. We were very involved in our church. We did all the things. We'd go to church on Sunday, obviously. We did all of the little activities at church.
Yeah, because you plugged into your youth group.
Yes, very plugged into that. My youth group so when we were younger, we did obviously like the Bible school stuff, and we did, there were different youth choirs. And then when we got older in middle school and high school, we did our youth group, which was called 8612, which is Psalm 8612 was the verse. And so what we would do is we'd do kind of like a Sunday school thing on Sunday nights, and we would learn different songs, and we would recite them and sing them to our church on Sundays. And so at the end of the year, this was the cool part, is we would go on different mission trips, and we would go to different cities. We went to Washington, D.C. We went to New Orleans. We went to New York.
Man,
yeah.
You had a very active church membership. That's crazy.
And that was incredible. We'd go to, on those mission trips, we would go to nursing homes. We would sing those songs and do kind of like concerts and stuff. I wasn't the best singer, but it was so fun and such a memorable time and a sweet time to be able to do that with my friends.
Yeah.
Loved that growing up.
And your dad still lives over there.
He does. He does.
And your mom passed away a couple of years ago.
She did.
I'm so sorry. And that's obviously something difficult to go through when you're young.
Right.
But I think you've committed to always having a positive outlook about your mom and about seeing her again. That's just how you're kind of rooted and grounded, right?
Right. I would say, I think, seeing her, she died of cancer. It was actually 2 years ago this week. And she, I think one of the things that was just a testament to who she was as a person is, going through cancer is obviously very hard. You have all the treatments and just going through it in general. And I think she showed a lot of strength. And, I saw the strength from her and just the grace that she had through that whole process. and seeing, my dad and his strength and him taking care of her from day one, is just really a testament to who my parents are as people. And I think, to this day, for me, I actually have a note in my room, and it's from my mom. I saved some of the notes that she wrote me, and it said, like, you're living your dream every single day, and I'm so proud of you. I'm your biggest fan, and I look at that every day when I wake up in the morning, and I know that, I'm living for her, and I'm doing exactly what she would want me to do. And I, if I could be even half the woman that she was, that would be incredible. But she was so great, and I have so many memories with her, and I I don't look at the time when she passed. I look at all of the memories that I do have, and all of the lessons and memories that I have with her. So,
Abby, my goodness, I didn't know that you would just, I don't know, how can I? You just told, without hardly taking a breath, one of the most powerful stories I think I've heard in a long time. So you have that note and you read it all the time?
Every day. And my mom, that was the kind of person she was. She loved people. And I think that she had this gift, and it was like, she can make you feel like you were the most important person in the room at anyone she was around. And she made you feel like that. And she was so selfless. And I think, again, seeing her go through one of the toughest battles of her life, and, I don't understand it. But you know what? It's God's plan, and I'm choosing to trust it, and I know He has a reason. I wish she was here with me, but God has a plan.
I do. I respect that so much, and I get it, and I agree that we don't understand it, and it's God's plan, but it still stinks.
Absolutely,
it still stinks a lot. And your dad and you are obviously still real close. I've heard you talk about your dad some. So, well, you know what? Out of that comes somebody of real depth and character, obviously. And so, hat off to you for looking at life the way you look at life.
Right.
And so you have that note, you look at it every morning, you said, but that note says something like you're living your dream. And that's kind of where I want to head, because, as a young lady, being the sole anchor on a 5 p.m. newscast in a city, Abilene's, what are we, market 164 in the nation? We're not the biggest city, but we're growing.
Yes, we are.
There's a lot of eyes on our news product.
Right.
A lot of eyes on what you do at 5.
Yes.
That's a big responsibility.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, unfortunately for you, you've got to, hit the ball and drag bacon at 6 and 10, right? Right.
We love bacon. No, he has been such a great co-anchor. And I obviously, like, he has a wealth of knowledge. He's been doing this for, I think, 45 years, like, this year.
Yeah.
So a long time, so much knowledge. And getting to anchor next to him every single night is, honestly, it's such an honor. And I have learned so much.
It's really crazy, isn't it, that you get to do that, because you couldn't have thought, because we skipped over going to University of Oklahoma, or Oklahoma University, I should say, right? That's it. It's Oklahoma
He always
University.
teases me about that, Danny
Is it
Sims.
University of Oklahoma or Oklahoma University? Yeah. But there's some little school up in Norman,
Oklahoma.
That's where you went.
There you go.
But they have a renowned world-class communication and journalism program.
Yes.
OU, and that's where you went, because in high school you fell in love with TV journalism.
Yes.
Tell us that story.
I can tell you. So in high school, we had a program. It was called KCBY. So I know, high school, we have those extracurriculars.
Wait. KCBY, isn't that the yogurt place?
That's TCBY, I think.
Okay. Sorry.
No, honestly, we had a TCBY, and I kind of got confused sometimes. But no, it was KCBY.
I had no idea. That's
I do love my froyo.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Exactly. So anyway, so it was KCBY. It was an extracurricular activity, but it was also a class. So it was like a student-run, like, news program. So I had always loved news. I had always loved doing, whether it be shows for my family. So
okay, I want to ask you something. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to ask you something. I'm confused, because I know on the morning show on KRBC,
right.
West Texas Today, Heather Easley is the anchor. And when she was little, her dad set up a little anchor booth for her.
Yes.
Did your dad do something like that for you too, or? Or am I getting the stories confused?
Well, okay, yes, Heather has told me that story, and yes, it is. So I used to do just like little shows for my family.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
You
like
did.
my great-grandparents, my grandparents, we would just sit there and we would do whether I'd be singing or just talking. I don't know. I love doing that with my family, and I love just watching the news. I always thought it was so intriguing.
And they put you right there on the news in high school. I mean,
Well,
you were doing
yeah.
at KCBY.
KCBY, yes. Yes. So what we would do is we would get kind of exposure to different things. Like we would get to report. We would get to like learn how to use the cameras. I even got to experiment with sports a little bit and do some sports reporting, go to games, film those. We would get to do a little bit of anchoring, reporting the news. And
Did the shows come on like in the Commons area at the school, or when did they ever see the light of day?
So we had newscasts, and they would be on Fridays. We would broadcast all of the pieces. We would have everybody in the class would make a piece that week. And what we would do is we would broadcast them on Friday evenings to the whole high school. And so that was kind of like our newscast. We didn't have it every day, but it was really cool. And we would get to, like I said, report. I got to anchor it a few times. And it was one of those things where it was like, I always knew I wanted to do it. But I think, doing it in high school, it really confirmed like, this is what I want to do and learn and get, my education for in college.
And so that's when you decided I'm going to go to Oklahoma.
Yes. So I remember it literally like it was yesterday. My dad and I went up there on a November day, and everybody was gone for like Christmas break because that was about the time it was. And I remember I wanted a school that had a broadcasting program, a good sports program, and a great campus and things like that.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
But yes, so we went there, and I remember we went and we toured the school. And
serious question, did you? I look, full disclosure, I've never set foot on campus, but everybody says it's one of the most beautiful campuses.
It is.
And you fell in love with it immediately.
I did immediately. Yeah. It's almost, I don't know if anyone who's watching this has seen Harry Potter, but it has kind of that vibe.
Yeah. And was Baker Mayfield the quarterback then?
He was.
Okay.
He was, yes.
Did you ever see him on campus?
Occasionally, sometimes, but yes, I...
And is it true, is the rumor true that he kept leaving you his number and you would never call him? Is this true?
Baker Mayfield's great. I, to this day, still follow the Buccaneers and Baker. It was incredible. We got to see Baker, Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts while I was there. And basketball, Buddy Hield, the sports were
heady
unmatched.
Times. Yeah,
it was,
big times.
And so many others.
So you get out of college, boom, you run right into the COVID wall. I mean, right? Yeah. So you were challenged with what am I going to do? I'm sure, right? Mm-hmm. Because remember that era? We didn't. None of us knew. We didn't know that we would get to the other side. And 6 years later, we're like, well, what were you so worried about? Of course, look, there were a lot of people who suffered loss during COVID. Right next door to the TV station, there's a house where an old high school buddy of mine lived. Yeah, died of COVID. We all have friends or extended family that suffered through COVID. So I'm not minimizing that at all. But we did get through that time to another side, and that's when you came to Abilene.
Yes. So I guess going back to the college a little bit, I really wanted to...
Oh, sorry. Did I move the story too far?
It's okay. I was going to just talk about Gaylord College a little bit.
Oh, you want to brag on Oklahoma some more.
He really doesn't like Oklahoma.
No, I really do, actually. I really do.
But no, I remember because when I walked through the doors that day, that was the thing. And I did OU Nightly, which is the program at Gaylord College. And that, honestly, that was kind of to me, I would describe it as it was almost like an internship at school.
Yeah, and it's a big deal.
It was fantastic. And I think, without that, I have to touch on this because without OU Nightly, I don't know that I would be here in Abilene today. That training that I got from OU and OU Nightly. And I remember walking in that day because we also toured Gaylord College and seeing those cameras, seeing, the studio. I just remember my eyes just lit up and getting to talk to the professors. And, I had to touch on this because, I learned so much from that school in OU Nightly. And
so you were committed. I want to go into TV journalism.
Right.
I want to go into TV. I want to be a reporter.
Yes.
Did you want to be an anchor or did you think about it?
I kind of wanted to just try everything and see, what kind of fit and what I enjoyed.
And so you did have to navigate through COVID. But,
yes.
But was Abilene and KRBC your first job? and you came
Still
here
have a
as a
job.
reporter.
I did. I know, reporter and weekend anchor. Yes.
You were weekend anchor initially. You got that gig right from the start.
Yes.
Okay. Now, but how long until you got the seat at the desk at 5, 6, and 10? Was it a year or two?
I think it was about a year because when I came in, so it's funny because it was literally 5 years this week. I've been in Abilene.
Yeah, you mentioned it's been a couple of years since your mom passed.
Yes.
And it's been 5 years this same week that you came to Abilene.
Right.
And I want to get there because something happened that was almost like a sign. I want to talk about that.
Yes.
But real quickly before I lose it, there was a young lady who was co-anchoring with David Bacon. And she left and went to Louisiana, and that opened the door for you, and you have not looked back.
No, I remember Lauren was incredible. She was my predecessor on KRBC, and I remember I really enjoyed anchoring the weekends, and I was like, you know what, I want to continue to grow and continue to. I love KRBC and I love everything, and I love working with David, and I was like, I want to throw my name in the hat,
and were you nervous?
try.
Did you think, there's no way they're going to hire me? I'm young, it's just my first gig. But, here's what I remember. I remember David Bacon saying, hey, I really like her. And I like how even though she's so much younger than me, we have a great rapport. And I think viewers see that. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I would definitely. David and I, we have very similar values. We have very similar, I've kind of, like I said, I've learned.
He cannot shoot a 3-point shot. Let's get that out there. So that's where the similarities stop, right?
Well, the Bacons are they're basketball people.
I know.
They are, absolutely.
He's a great athlete. In fact, his son's a great coach.
He is at Cooper. Yeah. Yes, Michael.
So, okay, back to the sign you saw. You moved to Abilene.
Yes.
You're unloading, and you look up, and what do you see?
So I remember this. So I was at my apartment, and we were kind of unpacking. I was with my mom, and we were looking at apartments and doing all that. And I remember I looked up in the sky, and right above my apartment was an A in the sky. And it was, I don't know if it was a sign meaning Abilene or Abby, I don't know, but I took it as a sign. I'm like, I'm right where I need to be.
And do you still have that picture in your phone?
I do.
We're gonna get Travis to put it up in post production right about now, so people when they're looking at the podcast can see it because is it a plane? A jet trail? Is it a cloud? I don't know. Either way, it's weird.
It was crazy. It was I'm a big believer, and I think God gives us signs. God. He does. He tells us, right where we need to be in different ways. And, we pray about it. Obviously, I prayed about, hey, where do I need to be? And I think seeing that sign was almost like confirmation that, hey, I am where God wants me to be. And I was so excited and optimistic. And
have I ever told you the story about the time that God clearly spoke to me in a sign? It's incredible.
No.
Yeah, they opened a Krispy Kreme donut near our house. And the day it opened, it was very crowded.
Right.
And I said, oh, God, it's so crowded, but if you want me to get a dozen donuts, would you please have an empty parking spot in the parking lot? Because what are the odds?
Yeah.
Because it's crowded.
Right.
And do you know the 23rd time I circled through the parking lot, there was an empty spot just for me?
Perfect.
I got 2 dozen.
There you go.
Yeah,
There's nothing better than Krispy Kreme donuts.
Well, and
especially those when they're right out of the oven. They're so good. So good.
So, okay, you did feel a compelling sense of this is kind of a place for me.
I did.
There's an A in the sky. My
There's an
name
A in
is
the sky.
Abby.
Yeah.
This is Abilene.
Abilene, yes.
It is weird. I totally ruined it with my silly Krispy Kreme story because it's a really serious
we love
thing.
Krispy Kreme.
I love it too, but too much. But you took that as a moment and then set up shop here and have been here 5 years.
I have.
And look at you.
I love it.
You are the producer and the sole anchor at 5 p.m.
Yes.
Not every really weekday because you accommodate the fall Sunday night football schedule. So you work Sunday through Thursday.
Yes.
So you're at 5 on Monday through Thursday.
Right.
And then you're at the 6 and 10 with David Bacon.
Right.
And we mentioned that that's kind of an interesting thing. You enjoy working with the local legend. That's cool. You know I guess you've worked with different weather personalities.
Yes.
Dylan Smith for a long time.
Susanna Harper.
And Susanna
Clemente,
and
a little bit.
Clemente. You've worked some with Carter Vandrasic.
Yes.
And then occasionally Pete Beretta will show
Yes,
up.
Pete Beretta.
So you've really worked with people who know the ropes and also some other young people who are learning. My point is, I'm getting a long time to say that. It's taking a long time to say it, but you're learning from some people that have really know the business.
Absolutely. And I wanted to say that too. Like our newsroom, I think what is so incredible about here at our news station, there are so many great people and all of our departments that know so much about journalism. And this place is really just a community of people who are just, we all want to make our newscast the best they can be.
So that's a perfect segue to my big question, okay?
Yes.
Bacon's been here 45 years this year. Bob Bartlett's been here over 50 years. You've been here already about 10% of that time. Can we today get you to sign on this contract right here that you will break the Bacon Bartlett records? Is that?
I brought a pen.
Okay, I love it.
I brought a pink pen.
Yeah, but you know, you probably have gotten calls from other markets, and I'm not asking you to share anything that you wouldn't want to share publicly, but you've obviously said no. You're at this point in your career, you're loving Abilene, you love to stay here, and it'd be silly to think that you're going to be here 50 years, but you do think this is a good fit. But when you got here, how long did it take you to feel comfortable and get that feeling? Was it instantaneous like it was when you walked on the campus in Norman? Or did it take a while?
I think honestly, so I remember Travis Ruiz, he was our news director at the time. I remember when I called him and he was he talked to me about, you know, different things I wanted in a job and different things like that. And we just had a great interview.
Well, look, you're not going to find a better guy to make you feel at ease than Travis.
Absolutely.
You know?
And he's so involved in the community, and that really inspired me, like seeing Travis in all of the different things that he's involved in. And I was like, you know what? I want to get to know this community. I don't want to just be read the news. I want to be involved.
You're in junior league.
Yes.
And I think you volunteer in other ways as well.
Yes.
But junior league is, I mean, that takes a lot of time.
Yes.
It's not just a bunch of ladies sitting around eating Krispy Kremes, you know?
Sometimes we like our...
Well, look, I'm not judging. Remember, I circled the parking lot 23 times to get a dozen. Yeah. But you do a lot with junior league.
Yes, I do.
Go through some of those things.
So I would say, first of all, I love it because it's allowed me to get to know our community and get to know these women who have such, I would say, just servant hearts for our community. Yeah. And they all do different things.
Great way, too, to meet some neat people and become friends, right?
Yes. And this year, so I am the Abilene ISD Homeless Youth Chair. So what I like to do in the mornings, I will go to work with Darren Cox, and they have...
I was about to say, you probably have to go there with Darren Cox.
Yes, Darren Cox is great.
You're stuck with Bacon in the evenings. You have to go volunteer with Darren Cox, you know? Goodness gracious.
They're great. And I think, you know, I get to go there and we get to organize some of the different, you know, clothes and things that they will give to the students.
It is amazing, isn't it, that AISD has that many kids on the margins at risk and many of them homeless.
Right. And Junior League, we work very closely with them. And so that's my role this year. We do Christmas Carousel, which is so much fun. One of my favorite things. And we'll do like different things.
Don't you get tired though of it? Like,
no, not at all. It's just, you know how I told you, I was like, I really enjoyed going on mission trips and things like that. I think being able to do that here in this community, being able to serve in different ways, like I love it. It's something I enjoy. I get to know my community and, you know, serve a purpose of making it better.
And when you do that, you know, the old adage is true, you know, it makes us, when we give like that, it makes us feel better than, you know, the people that we interface with that we're helping. I totally get that. But I want to ask you one thing about community engagement. I'm always fascinated by this. At what point did you realize I'm kind of a public figure now? Because you are. You know, people come up to you in the supermarket or they'll say, hey, I see you on TV. That probably happens pretty frequently. And the longer you stay here and the more better, that's a horrible way to say it.
The more you grow.
The more you grow. But the more you become known in the community, you know, more and more people are going to say, hey, Abby Green, hey, I know you.
Yeah.
That's kind of different, isn't it?
It's a little different, but
Is that an adjustment for you?
I would say for me, it's just like meeting new friends. Like I like, I like going to events. I get excited when I get emails from you, Danny Sims, about going to events in the community because, it's like I get to meet, we will get to meet different viewers and different, and learn their stories because that essentially is what our job is sharing our viewers' stories and the information.
It's funny. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Probably have, but our colleague down in San Angelo, Sonora Scott, has written a book.
Yes.
New to
I have
News.
it.
And it's a great book.
Yes.
And in the very literally first page of the book,
Yeah.
she says the purpose of journalism and the purpose of TV journalism is to help people.
Yes, it is.
I think you get that. I think
Yes.
that's what you're about. I think that's your vibe and that's your brand. It's just
Yes.
really dawning on me.
Yeah.
I've known you for 5 years. I respect you. You're a talented young lady. You're a hard worker.
Thank you.
You're always positive. But I think more than that. I think what's driving you is this sense. I want to know people, talk to people. I want to engage. I want to help people.
Yes,
Am I missing it,
absolutely.
or am
No,
I on
that's. I think you're dead on. I think that's something that I have loved in this job. And I remember doing my internships. I think what's so cool about our jobs is we don't just sit at a desk all day. We're out in the community. We are out doing things. And we do anchor the news at a desk, but we David and myself. David's in Kiwanis Club. I do junior league and go to different events with the news station. And I think that's the biggest. That's the most important part is getting to know our community and getting to know what they're about. And
yeah, next week, I hope you can go. You're on the invitation list to go to the McMurray
saw that.
Women's Leadership
Yes. I'm
Luncheon.
so excited.
So opportunities like that, when you're in the community, you because I'm just confessionally, I personally, just me, the way I'm geared, I'm not a real big fan of. People don't believe this, but it's true. I'm more of an introvert. I'd much rather talk.
I wouldn't think that.
No, well, people don't think it. I'd much rather talk to a crowd of thousands than talk to a handful of people somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think
and
that.
it makes me crazy when I'm out, and I don't know. It's just not. But you're not like that. I think it would make you crazy to not interface with people,
I
to
love
not
that.
engage. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so that fits though, because in high school you're a very social person.
Yes.
And then you get involved in the TV deal. You play in sports, basketball, soccer.
Yes.
You're going to your brother's baseball stuff. Then you go to OU. You're really
Right.
engaged.
Right.
You're not a wallflower at Gaylord. You're in the
Involved,
you're in
yes.
the thick of it. I mean, that
Yes.
is iconic university life journalism program.
Yes.
You're in a sorority. We didn't mention this, but you're in a
yes.
sorority.
Hi-fi.
Yeah,
Our
there you
little
are.
ring ching. Our wings.
Did you just do this?
This is our thing.
Did you just do this?
This is what we do.
That's what they did on Napoleon Dynamite and the Happy Hands Club.
Ring ching.
Abby, you were in the Happy Hands Club with Napoleon Dynamite.
This is our little thing. How they do the pictures, the little high-fi.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but you were in a sorority.
Yes.
You're very much a social person. Do you think, generally speaking, that the TV business side of things is kind of you mentioned, well, let me get at it this way. You mentioned loving working with the people you work with. You've just got this this community of people that have been in the
Yes.
business a long time. Do you think the TV business, generally speaking, is like that most of the people want to help people? Because the reason I ask this question, and I'll just prejudice your answer this way, I think people have it wrong when they say, fake news and the media. Actually, most of the people I've met they just like you. They want the best. They want to help people. They want to be engaged.
Right.
So what's going on, you think, in our society that people dump on the media all the time? Because a lot of people are just like Abby Green. They're just good folks.
Yeah. Well, I think something about our news station specifically that I was going to touch on that I just love is how we put a big focus on local news. And I think that is something that, you do hear those things that you were mentioning, but I think that we work really hard, and, we're seeing this with even this podcast right now. We really put an emphasis on local stories, and we work really hard. We can't, people can say what they want, and they can, and that's their opinion, and absolutely they have a right to it. I think here we do a very good job of, putting out local stories that people care about. And that's what we can do, is we can, share local things that matter to us. And I think we really do a good job of putting those stories out here.
And that's the beauty of your engagement with Junior League.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty of sitting beside David Bacon,
Mm-hmm.
is that those are opportunities. Bacon's kind of a local brand,
Yes.
his own personality.
Absolutely.
And Junior League, very engaged in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to hear that, and I'm glad to know that that's your viewpoint.
Yes.
And I'm glad to know that you're committing today to be here for another 45 years. That's just fantastic. It's great to hear. I love it.
Yeah.
So, Abby, do you think that you will be an anchor 20 years from now? You think, I found my calling. This is what I'm going to do. Or do you think, I don't know, if I met the right person and we wanted to move to Lake Como in Italy, that's what I would do? Or do you think, no, I'm going to be a TV anchor?
Danny Sims, I love what I do. And that's, like I said earlier, I'm living my dream every single day. I absolutely, I feel like, honestly, my dad said, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I feel that way. I feel like every day I come in and we really we have fun with it. It's so, what I do is so much fun, and it's so rewarding, and I love it. And
all right, last question then. If you lived in the Metroplex,
I did.
the Dallas area, you're familiar with bigger city life, but you love Abilene.
I do.
And you really have gotten involved and enmeshed in the community. What would you like to see in Abilene in the next many years? I was talking to somebody, and they legitimately said, I just totally understand about it. Man, I'd love to see some more retail that I really like. What do you mean? Well, I don't know, like a Super Target or something.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, we're getting a Bass Pro Shop all of a sudden.
Yes.
Stuff like that. And then just recently there was a new retail space.
Yes.
Abilene's growing.
They are.
So what would you say? Well, here's a place. Here's some place we need to recruit to Abilene.
Absolutely.
Say Krispy Kreme.
That's a good start. But I feel like Abilene already has a great start on the growth. I mean, we're seeing, like you were saying, Bass Pro Shop. We're seeing the new hotel, the DoubleTree, and different things downtown, and their new retail spots every day. And it's just, I feel like Abilene's already, we're growing so much, and it's an incredible place to be. And I think, we have great people here. That's one of the things that, I love about here, moving from Dallas is just, I came here and I instantly just fell in love with the people and the community. And, and on top of that, we're growing. I think, Abilene, and we're going to continue to grow. We're seeing that already, and I think that's incredible. So I'm excited for the future of Abilene. I think.
You ever have any of your buddies from Dallas or Oklahoma come visit you in Abilene?
Yes, I do. Yes.
What's their reaction?
And they love it. They think it's amazing. And I want to have some of them come and see the news station and see what we do here. And I think that they're intrigued by it. They're excited, and they know that I'm loving it here. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
I thought I saw you and some of your buddies doing the Happy Hands Club thing downtown one day. Yeah, but it's fantastic.
Yes.
It's a great conversation. You cannot not have energy. I think that's you cannot. That's just who you are. It's your helping people, being engaged, being involved, and full of energy in life. Abby Green, what a wonderful conversation.
Yes, great conversation, Danny Sims. Thank you for having me.
I love it. And coming on the week that is the anniversary of moving here 5 years ago.
It's great timing.
That's great.
Yes.
Looking up in the sky and seeing the big A.
Yes.
Cool.
It's great. So
That's cool.
I'm blessed every day.
I'm just glad your name wasn't like Esmeralda, because E would have been very difficult.
I would say maybe it means Abilene at that point, the A. But yes, it's been great.
All right. Thank you for joining us here again. I tell you, do I not deliver? I say we're going to have interesting people. This is very interesting. Abby Green, interesting. Abby, I'm compelled to say we probably ought to bring Abby back with one of our other anchors. And maybe that's a hint about some future special episodes of Abilene People. I want to give a big shout out to Travis Corrigan, our ace producer over there at the switcher board. And I want to thank you for joining us. Our audience for Abilene People continues to grow. A lot of people are tuning in both on the streaming app and on the website and on your mobile device. So watch us however you can. And always watch Abby Green at 5, 6, and 10 on KRBC. Thank you very much. I'm your host, Danny Sims, and we will see you next time here on Abilene People.